Hey guys, and women, I'm back here today, and I'm gonna make this 2D geometric pattern here just using nodes, or come as close as I can to it. And the real tricky part that I'm gonna be focusing on is getting this tessellating pattern so this shape repeats three times around here, and then it has a negative, so that that also has an interesting shape, and then it continues, uh, and then all of this section repeats as it goes outward. So I'm gonna do something, bring something close to it. Oh, Cod, you're already on? Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Just had a great lunch, and we're gonna be having more of that lunch a little bit later. So yeah, that'll be good. Thanks. Hope your Thanksgiving is going well as well. Okay, so let's adjust the settings. I'm in the new version of Blender, so there's going to be a few changes I've made. I've already added the screencast keys add-on, so you can see my shortcut keys, and I adjusted the font size so that you can read the interface better. So I like to make that as big as possible for you guys. And yeah, and I also have to open the activate the Node Wrangler add-on so that we have all those helpful shortcut keys, but I only really use two of them. I could probably learn more of those. Yeah, I mean, this is, yeah, so now I'm just opening the shader view, going to top view, and we only really we could work in cycles or Eevee for this one, whatever we want. And because this is going to be 2D, we're not working with displacement this time. And yeah, so yeah, I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, and yeah, thank you, Kaj, for wishing me that just now. So yeah, let's start. So if I use, yeah, we'll use UV coordinates because it's 2D top view. So y is going up and x is going across. That's what this gradient means. So there's a lot of red here, less red here, right? So colors are the same as coordinates, RGB, X, Y, Z, whatever, you know. So first thing we want to do is this just mirrors over that, it mirrors along the x-axis over the y-axis. So so if I use, we actually want to separate x, y, z. So that we have a gradient going across right here, right? And I can shift that over with this add node, or I can change it subtract. It shifts it over by 0.5 in the negative direction. And because this is all negative, but it's, this is negative 0.5 and this is positive 0.5, so I can mirror that with absolute, as I've done in past tutorials. So, and then the range, just to adjust that, I want it to be, because this is only going to 0.5, so I want it to go up to 1. I want the full range there to work with. Which doesn't matter so much, but I don't know, it's nice to work with the full range. And yeah, and so these changes is kind of based on the y-axis also. These relate to each other, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna, you guys have Thanksgiving? Yeah. Made some nice, yeah, had a good Thanksgiving. Had some Brussels sprouts with roasted cashews and cranberries, and then yeah, some nice baked potatoes. It was good stuff. Yeah, and I'll be having more of that after this. Thanks to you, so appreciate it. Yeah, wasn't able to visit the family this time, which I think it's the right thing to do right now, especially where I am. But it's nice to, yeah. So here we have the profile. This totally reflects what this is. So you can basically just draw the bat out. But and then this is kind of an issue here. Might have to use another mask to get into that section. I picked a really complicated thing. Yeah, I think like if I make it a complicated thing, then I can I made the bat, and then I can be like, I was able to repeat it around this, and then I can be like, I repeated it down there. So let's see how far I get, and then yeah, hopefully I won't disappoint. Well, yeah, I think if I'm exceeding, like, you'll get something from it, right? So that kind of takes the pressure off. um, yeah, so we can't get this part to the ear because we can't cave it in. If I bring a point in there, you see how that functions. Um, we can control more of the curve though if I bring this out and then use this. So we have a bit of a point there. You can't really sharpen these curves to my knowledge. Yeah, there's no vector handle. Huh. Oh, so this does sharpen it. Huh. I hope we all learned something there. And let's yeah, what do I do? Auto handle? No. Vector handle. Interesting. So that gives us a point. So that's very important for this demonic creature. Dynamic. Vector handle. Cool. So I'll bring that in there. Let's delete this point. Yeah. Look, we already got the bat. Get the bat. Okay. And we can bring this down. And yeah, maybe add a point there. Let's give that vector handle. That was a nice find. I'm so glad I found that just immediately. Pretty lucky, honestly. So I'll bring that in there. Let's give that a point as well. Oh, so many vector handles. I hope this isn't like, yeah. There's no reason that would change like performance or something. I think. If you've ever used like Inkscape or I guess the industry standard equivalent, Illustrator, you know, you work with tons of vectors and there's no problem. I guess, yeah, vector-based VG scalable vector graphics is SVG. Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. But anyway, let's just bring this in and. Yeah, and hopefully this negative space, this is going to be the clincher, getting it, the negative space to work around this. And yeah, so let's mask out that inner part. So how can we manage that? I'm going to copy all of this, so Control-Shift-G, and then I'm going to reset this curve. So we'll start over, and then I'm going to combine that with this. So right here, I've got that, and then we'll just bring this in. Just need to go to the edge, so yeah. So you see what I'm doing here, and yeah, I guess I can make this. We could actually delete that last. No, we can't delete the last handle, but I'm pretty sure we can bring it in, which is kind of weird that we can't delete it, but we can bring it in there. And yeah, so there's a little innie that goes in there, and then. Yeah, and then right here, we can just mix these together. So get something, screen, we'll make it light right there. Interesting. Oh, yeah, we need to subtract, so subtracting the wrong value, we need that. Oh, and, I apologize for forgetting who it was, but somebody on this chat reminded me that you can change these to curves, because that's what I used to like, and it's kind of easier to read, I feel. But if I go to interface, themes, and then go to the shading, the node editor, yeah, and then change the noodle curving to like, I think I liked it around 4, and yeah, so we have this in the viewport, so yeah, that's curvier, kind of easier to read for me, and yeah, so interesting how that. It gives us a sharp, I guess because there's no value there. I mean, if I had something there, I'd have something to say. I guess this is kind of bright. I mean, opposite of bright. So I'm going to, I'll just invert this in this case. I could have put in the mix and then, oh, so this didn't give us the result that we wanted. Okay, weird. So, let's use color ramp, flip it, see how it looks. Wolf. So okay, so it must be lost, and this range must be larger. If I clamp this, maybe. Don't know what to say. Okay, well, I guess it's fine. I don't know why we have to do that extra step, but I'll take it. And yeah, so we'll yeah, bring this in a little bit because I guess that's the limits of the color ramp. Is this a psychology test? You mean for me? Um, oh yeah, like a Rorschach test, right? Um, it was like a pain tolerance test for me. But yeah, that's funny. Um, yeah, what is this? Yeah, I mean this is it's from this famous artist MC Escher. Um, but yeah, yeah. What do you see? Is it a? Yeah. Have you read Watchmen? I saw the TV show on HBO, which one of the few shows that like bring something back from like 30 years ago and then actually um, make something original out of it and keeps it entertaining. I mean, it was as original as it could be with the same property. I felt, and you know, I think the original writer, if you guys are familiar, like he didn't want any of his stuff to be adapted later, but um, uh, it was as true as it could have been to um, to the original source material while being its own thing, um, and kind of adding to it in kind of refreshing way. Um, yeah, so I guess this curve is kind of extreme here. Let's bring that in. Oh, you don't watch TV? That's cool. It's fine. Yeah, I don't. I think the best thing you can do is with your time is just make stuff for yourself. I mean, you should it's good to take in stuff for like inspiration and stuff, but I think people generally benefit more if you find the balance between consuming other stuff and then doing your own thing or whatever. Yeah, so we have the sharp line because that vector there. So maybe I can add another point in there. So this is kind of sharp there. Yeah, and I guess this looks weird. It's a bit deep. Fix that because we're gonna remove part of that head there. Yeah, and like I couldn't watch it. I can't watch it right now because I don't have HBO and or I don't have friends with HBO or whatever. And it's yeah, I agree. It's not bad in itself. Could be inspiring, as you say. Yeah, about the show. Yeah. I think next month I'm hoping to challenge myself to do character art. Just have like a refreshing take, doing things the correct way, which Nodes is very rarely the correct way of doing things unless you're actually shading a character, because that's what these are made for in Blender. But so I'm doing a character art thing, and that kind of relates to what you're saying, Ether, because it's I'm gonna be like taking maybe some stuff from like popular, just what's popular right now, maybe for like a week, and then or like 5 days. I might do it up for like 20 days anyway. And then I'm hoping to. So I'll take things that are popular, things that I've found interesting growing up, things that I find interesting now, and then eventually trying to do like original stuff, like in the last section of the challenge. And I think that'll be an exercise in kind of pinpointing the things that um, that are like compelling to me, and characters and stuff, and yeah, because I spent a lot of time consuming media when I was younger, so yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do. I think live streams are a lot quicker to do. I know you, DSO, that you mentioned that you feel like you get more out of the live streams because you get immediate feedback. But yeah, I think in a lot of ways, I think you can reach more people without a live stream in a less long format, because then not everybody's working at the same time. So yeah, I'm kind of weighing those things. I think I'd like to do update videos and actually like do some topics while I'm doing it. But yeah, it's all about how much time I have, right? So um, I'll just have to see. But yeah, I'm hoping to put out videos and stuff a lot. Mid poly. Um, yeah, I've kind of been crunched like this week, but like before I start, I want to do a video on base meshes and like what topology for how topology reflects function, and yeah, so I'll have to uh, just have to see what yeah, because my workflow is gonna be, it's always I think for characters I always start out with well, you can start with the base mesh, which is like yeah, it could be mid poly, and then I use the multi-res modifier, which is super helpful for, then you have like a well sculpted thing with good detail. If the geometry is already in a good place, then you can just kind of work with that. And yeah, so that's also stuff I'm going to be talking about if I talk about base meshes. So yeah, so I'm trying to get this shape, but then I have to cut it out around there. So I'll have to combine it with another mask and then add it onto another mask. I guess we'll see how that works. But yeah, anyway, it's yeah, I think because I think having a base mesh and going beyond, I want this month to be going beyond the base mesh, and I'll talk about modeling and sculpting clothes and stuff as well. But like I think an issue is like it takes so long to get to the point that you have a base mesh if you want to do everything yourself, that it's important to have a starting point where you can start doing things creatively. Yeah, so let's try to combine this here. So let's think this through. So I have this mask. I'm thinking hopefully I can. So we have this outer part of the head. I'm gonna combine it. So we want to cut this part out. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm gonna add a donate function pretty soon. I'm just kind of trying to figure out the best way to do that, because I might do Patreon. I might put stuff on Gumroad, like pay what you want or something. I'm looking into some other alternatives where like the artist completely benefits, because I think in supporting that stuff's kind of important. I'm kind of taking my time on that because I realize like asking you guys for money isn't going to compare to what corporations and stuff, where like if this was a big channel, and I think like right now I'm just kind of focusing on building valuable content that will allow this to grow. But yeah, I'm totally, I really appreciate that, and I do value any contribution, but it's yeah, so you know, it's just something I've just kind of been taking my time with. But yeah, I guess in the long run, I'd get a little bit more money if I started asking for stuff now, or but um, yeah, right now it's just I've been focusing on growth, and yeah, so yeah, hopefully soon. Um, okay, so I might need to just make this shape separately. How are we gonna do this? Yeah, and I think you know if you're a fan, I think when the time comes where I do ask for money, um, there will be an opportunity for you to give what you want, and that'll be, you know, in the um, that'll be the final. I mean, yeah, you know, at some point, money it'll come and go, but you know, overall, it'll end up being the same. That's kind of my theory right now, but yeah, you know, so yeah, I think you know where I'm at now, but yeah. I started before Nodevember. I'd well, my start of so I've you've been using Blender since 2.79, so that was like 2018, and so this part's kind of essential for the wings right here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, and I just kind of mindlessly follow Andrew Price tutorials and sort of figure that out, and then along the way, sort of come across different procedural tutorials. You know, it kind of comes and goes. I always focused on modeling. I think that's where, um, you know, and then you just kind of learn stuff little by little. Like the stuff I'm doing here, each thing you do a step at a time, and then, um, but yeah, I remember distinctly that there were a few months where I was doing, I was just following a Andrew Price tutorial on like shading snow or something, and I just had no idea what I was doing, and I just followed it mindlessly for like 2 months, and eventually got something I was happy with. So we have this shape. All right, nice, yeah. What about you? Have you been working with Blender? Ether? Only Blender would be more limited. Yeah, it's important to have like searchable stuff. That's totally true. Like Doctor Strange modeling fan art. Yeah, yeah, putting fan art in the title is a good idea. Um, yeah, checking key terms and stuff. There's a few ways to do that. That'd be really good. Thanks to you. So, um, let's see if I maybe I'll just use this. Let's see how it tessellates. So, right here we want it to wrap around it. Right, and we're using regular UV spaces here, but we want it to wrap around. And we can actually do that by, well, it's kind of redundant to make another separate node, but yeah, we're going to do that. So combine X, Y, and we're not working with Z, so we can actually hide that. We can do that here too, Control H. And put a sign going back to it now. Oh yeah, so you've been doing it longer than I have. I mean, I installed it in 2014, but I never count that because I immediately uninstalled it because I was just like, I can orbit around this cube, but I don't know how to do anything else or where to start. And then I discovered tutorials at some point, but um, let's see. So I have this radial texture. It's actually coming from here because that's at 0, 0. So, wait, I didn't need to do this yet. So, anyway, well, oh yeah, so I actually am going to combine this, but, so we're modifying the UV coordinates. So I work with that. Put these in the center. So make these 2 coordinates minus 0.5. Yeah, so now it's radial from the center. And we want it to yeah, so we're going to change the UV map so that it repeats. Yeah, after the new UI, I think it's a lot more friendly. There's, the way I learned it, like in high school, and it was still like the old interface when I was learning 2.79. Yeah, like you said, 2.8 had the new UI, and it was just so like I focused on the hotkeys. And like somebody told me, I had a friend who was like a programmer, and that's why they knew about that. And I think that's kind of how a lot of people learn, like came across Blender at that point. It's like they had a friend who was a programmer, and it's like this is a really cool project. But I just kind of ended up, yeah. So I learned the hotkeys, and there was a website, and at my university we had there were computers in the library with 2 monitors, and I just used that, put the hotkeys on one, then look at the other screen while I work, and like I knew that those keys were important enough to have a hotkey, because at the time there were a lot more preset hotkeys in Blender, which I kind of miss, and I have to kind of add manually, or I think there's a way to update your hotkeys, but I haven't looked into that. Yeah. So just to real quick to show you what we're doing here, modulo cuts this up so that it repeats, and then I'm going to, and then because it's cutting at like 0.3 and then repeating up to 0.3, I have to adjust the range. So the number of times it repeats is like, what if the number 3, but like I have to use divide because that's where it starts cutting it. So it cuts at 0.33 when I have 3, or 0.25 when I have 4, and then this is darker, so I have to plug this in and adjust the range. So now we have the full range here. Yeah, so we'll get a repetition that way. And there's actually 3 repetitions here plus the negative space, so hopefully this will work out. So we have 3 right here, and yeah, if I plug this in here, hopefully this works. Let's check it out. Yeah, and this node stuff is really frightening, and it's also not that useful. Like if you actually want to make I think the go-tos for Blender is like putting it into a game or an animation, but the thing about shaders is you have to bake it out as a texture, and like it's cool that like you can scale in and get infinite detail because this is mathematically generated to work in this viewport, so it's always proportionate to that amount of detail. And so like game engines have procedural stuff too, like Unreal, and there's some pretty cool convenient stuff you can do with that. But when you get too complex, it affects the runtime of stuff and doesn't help so much. Yeah, I mean, it's I think when things really matter, you start to find the time, but it's like oh yeah. Oh, and here we have an issue because so now this is one gradient, so this is like the x-axis going around, and we can combine. So we have to combine it right here. So this was a mistake, and then use a sphere. So now we actually have it wrapping around, which is really awesome, because then we have like wrapped UV coordinates. Hopefully let's see how this comes together. Okay, interesting. Okay, so that's the shape that we made right there, and it's wrapping from that point. So that's, at least it's interesting, right? Um, my experience here, I mean, not really, because well, like thinking in steps and breaking those down, and sort of like you start it with the coordinates and then build from that. I think that's potentially similar, but yeah, there's no overlap between the two systems, which is kind of maybe a little disappointing. Um, did you so ask a question? Oh yeah, about when you joined. Yeah, I'm curious about that as well. Um, let's try scaling this vector. That's kind of cool. Not really what we want, but oh, it's because this. Yeah. Oh, duh. That's why we were getting this weird pattern that I wasn't making sense of. So the sphere is going from there, but we want it to be from the center. So we'll put this in here, and that should give us what. Yeah. So that totally makes sense. That's fair. So we're getting it repeated there, and then we'll scale the sphere, so that gets repetition. But this it's not at all what we want. So what can we do about that? If I look at the sphere, so it's white, and then it gets darker. And oh yeah, so this is actually inverted of what this is, because if you think about it, UVs start dark here and then get lighter as it goes out. If you look at this, right? So UVs, you plug in there, separate it, right? So it starts dark and then it gets lighter, and that's what I mapped it based on. So I'll have to invert these. This part is probably fine. But let's see this part, because yeah, I think I can make this 1 minus that. Maybe. Let's see how that looks. It's cool. It's cool. And then we can also do the modulo thing here to get this repetition down that way. And let's just see how that looks. Maybe this is going to be a little messy, but okay, cool. So you're working with the Blender game engine. Awesome. Yeah, I'm curious how you started with these, how you came across the channel as well, Ether. But yeah, that's awesome that you're doing Python scripts. That could be really useful. I'm curious, I've looked in the Blender game engine. I don't know how it's cool that it's like fully integrated in Blender, because it's built from Blender internal. But like I wonder how the development for that compares. I know Godot works really well with what Blender does. Yeah, and that's awesome that you're doing all this in English. A lot of respect for that. Yeah, and I haven't noticed anything about you taking time to reply either. So we have this, and then I think we can adjust the distance of these with if we put a gradient right here. So like if I bring that out, yeah, so we're getting, so that's widens and that tightens. Yeah, so that could be something close to what we want, but we don't want a point in the middle. So maybe we can just offset that. So if I just put add right here. I guess before modulo. So right here. And then holding down shift smooths that adjustment. Maybe some people just wrote Nodevember Blender nodes, etc. Usually do only people that know Blender, so it's pretty sure Blender for 3D modeling. Okay, sorry. Unity and Blender in 2015. Cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I think, if you can do all of that, everything in Blender, I think that, like, if that workflow is functional, that's, like, super powerful. And it can really simplify your workflow. I think, I'm hoping someday, everything will work in Blender. I think texturing is, should be the next step. Makes sense. Okay, so let's reset. Let's just review right here. I'm going to change this to UV coordinates. Control H to simplify this. So do that. This input here as well. So we have this, and then it's getting stretched out to be this. Interesting. So if I adjust this value, bring it smaller, less repetitions. Oh boy. Don't know if I'm gonna get this one. Jeez. That's a doozy. So, I have two monitors, but my other monitor for some reason isn't working, and I think it has to do with the Windows update at some point, because I got tech help to get to work, and they had me, I personally on my own time tried, removing the driver, restarting my computer, updating it, and then I called somebody help, did the same thing, had me update my operating system, just do a full restart, same thing, but I mean, and I know it's the operating system and not a cable connection, because it's sorry, I'm working and talking, because I'll turn on the computer and then they'll both be connected, and then one of them stops, and it doesn't recognize it, and it doesn't matter what cable I'm using or what computer. So, whole weird thing. But anyway, in short, yeah, I have two monitors, and I might change to Linux just for that reason, because from what I hear in Linux, you don't have to. It's just plug and play. You don't even have issues with driver updates. So, yeah. So yeah, there's a whole story there for what I use and why, but. Yeah, so here we're getting the stretching, and excuse me, I'm just gonna mute this for a second. I'm gonna. Okay, thanks. Sorry, just I guess that's how you have to do it when you're live. Yeah. So, I think this isn't. Okay, so this is circle and repeats here. It's almost like hexagonal, so it doesn't. It's not just like down that way and down that way. It like splits. Hmm. Can't even do that. Thank you, DSO. Linux can get complicated to optimize. Yeah. Digital, are you a Linux user? I know that desktop thing you were using yesterday is like an open source thing, so yeah. But whew. This might be the closest I'm gonna get. Maybe we can have the modulo depend on this. Like how many times it repeats depends on the distance of the sphere. Is that even possible? Let's see. So we have this. Like what would happen if I multiplied. I guess it would be multiplying this by the gradient texture here. Yeah, so that gives us a swirl. Very cool. That makes sense. The prompt today is geometry. I know I had something on the thumbnail. Maybe I could spin this into something else. Wow. Linux since 1998. Solid. So you use both, huh? Well, I guess you kind of have to have like because there aren't like easy to access Linux computers. Like most people have Windows, and then what I could do for this though is I think I could do. So I have this value for the repetitions. I'm talking through. Oh yeah, sorry, I kind of stopped with I can do and then ... But I'm gonna I'll sort of have to show you this. So if I have this many repetitions, which is determined by this number right here, we can get solid colors from that with snap. So you'll see what that does here. And yeah, so that's looking pretty good. Whoa. And then what pattern do we get here? Okay, yeah, okay. Yes, great. It's gonna affect our repetitions in the middle, but at least we can make something reminiscent of. Okay, so something is not quite right. So this is affecting the brightness of this value, I think. So it's making this darker. Why am I getting like... Why does it feel like this is rotating? Is anybody else getting that? It's like one of those... it's like that different kind of optical illusion where it feels like it's rotating. Wow. I mean, a mobile space shooter thing. Oh, and I missed this comment. So, started Blender in 2015. Yeah, we did that. I found your channel and was pretty impressed with what you're doing with it. Thanks. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's rotating. Sorry. Yeah, and this should be 3. I can't stop looking at it. It's so weird. We'll scroll down. Yeah. There's this one channel that I highly recommend. He uses Godot, but you could apply it to any different game engine. It's Mizizizizis, I think Mizizizizz something. I think he came up with it when he was like younger or something. Kind of the same story as with this channel. Like I think I made this account name when I was like 15. But he I've suggested this on this channel before because other people have talked about wanting to make games, and his approach sounds pretty good. I like it where essentially you yeah, and sorry. Anyway, you can start small, like start short. Try to make a platformer in an hour, and then you could do what you want with the scenery. You could use assets from open game art and just focus on the programming, not worry about what things look like. Just see if you get the function, and then you do something for challenge yourself to make a game in 2 days, and then you just keep bringing that up, and then a week, 2 weeks, and then eventually you can you'll be able to do most things. But like starting with a small like a super small project that you can achieve, that will allow you to build the steps to the next thing. Just like with the nodes, like start try to make a square, try to make figure out what the different textures do, and where you could use them, or like what kind of effects you get out of them, or what the different mix color nodes do. Yeah, hopefully I'll make more videos on that. Procedural stuff to make games really nice. For shading, so there's modeling and shading, two different stories. I know I think for smaller projects, I think it just makes sense to keep things short. I'm doing when you're making games for textures, you want them to repeat, and there's gonna be a video coming out for that. I have all I have to assemble the nodes. I have, and then I'm going to talk about that, talk how it's all put together, and then share that, and that's going to, and that's really useful in video games because you want, you can repeat things without cost, to make it seem like there's more detail, and reusing details efficiently if they're seamless. Maybe you've seen like seamless texture websites like Texture Haven or whatever, but that's probably the biggest thing, is like, because a lot of this isn't usable outside of the engine. But yeah, you can use like if you wanted to make snow or something, you could just like kind of use the normals, and like, I don't know, like if you have an object coordinates, you can use this to just quickly change the materials. So if I use on the z-axis, we get like the top masked out. Or with texturing, I did a tutorial on curvature maps and normal maps for baking those. You can check out that video, and that's super useful for getting your details from the high polymesh to low polymesh. Procedural is kind of buzzword. It's only part of non-destructive workflow. Procedural literally means step based, and I think that should extend outside of nodes. It's just to work efficiently. Oh, am I using left click? Sorry, I just it's I'm gonna change that. I prefer right click. I know that's not industry standard, and I'd like that to be a search bar because I never use play. So, but you can change that on the splash screen, because I just updated to 2.91. That was just updated yesterday, and quad tree. Well, I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to search for that. Let's check that out. Quadric. I mean, I'll look at this on my own time because you guys might not be here for this, but you guys can also check this out. But like, why would I explain it? Like, you could explain in the chat. For children. Cool. So like L systems and maybe. Like No Man's Sky, wasn't that like a... I didn't play the game, but I heard that was like a totally procedural thing. Kind of mixed reception, but pretty cool nonetheless. Yeah, so the issue... Let's check this out, this value. If I... And this should reflect how my... it doesn't... Okay, we have this, and then we have this. So why does that look different? Because okay, I'm just gonna multiply these so that we can see them on the same so it doesn't line up. And if I use mix, we can swap between them. Solid. It would go intergalactic space to planet surface. Cool. Yeah, I was a big Star Trek fan growing up. Watched the original series, Next Generation, you know. Yeah. And there was that Black Mirror episode that was really interesting. I think it was like season 4 or something. But it was like it was a simulation as well. And then I guess I won't spoil it for anybody. It's on Netflix, no sponsor. So here's an issue. So getting the gradient texture here, and that's fine. That's fine. Phase snap. Oh yeah. Let's plug that into here. Yeah, so that should be better. Yeah, okay. Yep. And then that's better. And then, but we need to adjust the range here, so that's a little darker. Okay. Yeah, which we did, multiply. And then, but I think there's a chance that this isn't going all the way across there. Jeez. Oh man. Yeah, so it is clipping there. So we can find a solution to that. Yeah, I mean it's Star Trek's like yeah. They're fine. They were I think Star Trek was ahead of its time at the time, and now it's pretty outdated, but you know, and there's something kind of, you know, fascist about them, you know, kind of exploring worlds and but yeah, so it turns out to 3. Okay, so we're losing out all of them. So let's check out the radial, see what's happening with it. So it's coming up there in that repetition. That'd be cool. Yeah, I might they're gonna be different like across the board. I think it'd be cool to you know, yeah, cover different effects, and it's cool to work with characters that have like things that light up. You know, like using emission textures or whatever. Um, but yeah, I'll have to see. I think I could cover making something, yeah, like yeah, that could cover Dormammu. Um, I know in the comics Dormammu had like a fire head, where in the movie, I mean that now that I think of that, that's like really pretty. There's a lot going on there. um, yeah, that'd be cool to check out. If I let's just try subtracting right here. Meow. I'm liking this. Like it's kind of satisfying, right? So we have 3 repetitions, but then it's this. If we're multiplying it, it's making things darker at certain spots. Look at snap. And we want this part to be totally white. So how do we make sure that happens? It might mean to dissolve this. Control X. Yeah, or something like that, right? Yeah, and do original stuff, elemental stuff, you know, just culturally relevant stuff. I'm gonna try to. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm sure I will do a Joker at some point. Um, and yeah, um, yeah. I've definitely drawn the Joker and Batman before. You know, back when I was really into comics, and yeah, so just we'll have to see. I don't really know exactly any of the characters I'm going to do. You recommended Doctor Strange. You know, I'm going to really keep that in mind. Because, yeah, the garments and stuff are really cool. The story of the 3 Jokers. Yeah, I came across it. I think that's G.F. Johns, right? And yeah, I didn't read the story, but yeah, it kind of makes sense. The theory was that the theory I heard was like seemed kind of like a cool idea that there are 3 there's like 3 different interpretations. There's like the gangster, and then the anarchist, and the whatever like there's Caesar Romero, Heath Ledger, and Jack Nicholson. Yeah. And so there's the clown, and that's but I didn't read it. I didn't read it. This is just like a theory that I heard, so I'm spoiling something you might, that might not be exactly what it's about, but it's just kind of like a surprise there. But the best story I read for the best Batman story was Batman White Knight, where the Joker goes sane, and he kind of fixes all the problems in Gotham and kind of exposes a lot of issues with Batman, and that was kind of I thought that was a really good story, and that was like only 8 issues. Yeah, so what we need to do, so we need to fix this repetition here. So maybe I can, oh yeah, so we can multiply that to adjust it, so. Maybe we have to do these manually, so. But if I, okay, so the issue is that when these, so right here is mirrored and it's fine. And then this range gets adjusted when we darken it. And so when I'm adding, right here I'm just adding 0.5 because it's consistent throughout. So this needs a change. think we'll have to multiply this by 0.5, or the value that we used to change this. So try that. So like on the top, that should be 1. 1 times 0.5 should be 0.5. So that should stick. So let's see if that looks better. No, it looks worse. It looks worse. Oh, wait. No, multiply. Yeah, and for some reason, not exactly 0.5. I guess it's, this, the ramp. Oh, that's because this is kind of an odd number right here. We kind of adjusted that to get this, and then, and this is, I think, wait, 1.45 pi divided by 2. No. Pi divided by 2. Huh. Okay, that makes sense. So like, yeah, pi, it's got something, pi is like the, pi r squared is like the surface area of a circle, and like 2, it's related to the circle, and so for some reason half the circle is multiplying by that is, yeah, that, I guess, right? Did pi divided by 2? Really? Oh, wait. Okay. Pi. We have to make sure it's lowercase. Sorry. I had caps lock on. Pi divided by 2. Not quite. No, I'm just trying to see patterns where there aren't any. So, yeah, 1.45. And we've got that. And then let's... oh, and it's they made a cartoon out of it, or from what I remember, it was just a comic at this point. So maybe the Three Jokers thing. And yeah, so curves doesn't really help me so much, so I'll just forget about that. And yeah, if we increase the repetitions here. Oh, so this might, 1.5 is half of this. So I wonder if that's a pattern. So let's try that. Now I'm just like trying to find connections, but so yeah, divide by 2. We can multiply with 0.5, same thing, but whatever. Oh, that's pretty cool. At least I think it is, yeah. And yeah, so let's keep it at 3. And okay, yeah, have a good night to you. So I think I might actually just call it with this. I think I'm just not quite nailing this. The relationship here isn't totally, the pattern here isn't totally right. Like if you see, I thought that this tessellated here, but then it actually, this bat doesn't reflect to this side. Like it doesn't, yeah. Maybe I'll try and revisit it someday, but I probably won't do it over a live stream. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you guys learned stuff. Like, I think the big thing to take from this is like you can map to a sphere and adjust how it repeats, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so good night, DSO. I got the inside black bats. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, those are bats. Right. Thank you. His screen. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, just crop here. Update the thumbnail so it's just this. And then, yeah, did it. Bats and angels. Clearly. Yeah, take care, you guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. I will be in touch. See ya.